Welcome to In the Zone and Construction Executives Live, brought to you by U.S. Construction Zone, bringing you strategies for success with construction innovators and change makers, including In the Zone peer-nominated national award winners. Here's your host, Jeremy Owens.
Hey there, welcome back to In the Zone Construction Executives Live. I am your host, Jeremy Owens, owner and founder of U.S. Construction Zone and 3 Generations Improvements out in Northern California. Hope you guys are all doing well. I know there's a lot of weather events back east. For us back west, we hardly get anything over here. So it's always interesting to see people climbing out of snow and having issues with all that. So hope you guys are all safe. Hope you have power. Obviously, if you don't have power, you're probably not here right now. But hey, we got a great show for you today. I know in talking to a lot of my peers and mentors nationwide, things have been a little bit slow this winter. So we're really wanted to get back into this marketing conversation. Let's get into our business while things are slow. Let's make some tweaks and fixes. So congrats for being here and working on your business today. We are sponsored by the great brands at build12.com. Automate your construction business into a revenue generating machine with the Build 12 system. Visit build12.com for more information and a free demo. Talk to Les over there. He's a great guy. Also, BuilderPayPro, builderpaypro.com, the construction payment platform that saves you time and gets you paid fast. Pay 0% credit card fees, accept ACH payments. Utilize state-of-the-art invoicing, directly connect to QuickBooks, make your life a little easier, get paid faster, and stop paying those credit card fees at 3.5%. So check out builderpaypro.com. Today's show, we're going to be centered around analyzing our marketing and finding the right systems to take our business to the next level. As I said, this is the time to really look into this. We need to fill those gaps. We need to create those automations. We need to follow up better. All those things that we've been struggling with. We are going to fix today. Our show is actually called Exposing the 3 Biggest Mistakes Construction Companies Are Making Right Now. Most $5 to $10 million construction companies are held back by 3 silent mistakes that drain profit, kill growth, and keep owners stuck in the same busy but broke cycle year after year with no successful contractor will ever warn you about them. In this live show, we are exposing all 3, revealing why missed calls, weak follow-up, and thin margins quietly sabotage even the best teams, and showing the simple shifts that help contractors grow from spending a fortune on ads. And now we're going to have a great guest today. Daniel Stroley is the founder of Profits X and a business growth strategist who helps contractors and service-based businesses dominate their local markets. Since 2018, Daniel has guided entrepreneurs in building trust, credibility, and visibility online through strategic websites, lead funnels, and automations that generate consistent, high-quality leads. Please help me welcome Daniel Stroley. Daniel, thanks for joining us.
Jeremy, I must say it's an honor and a pleasure to be here. Whenever you and I get together, we always make sparks.
That's right, man. I appreciate you being here. Like I said in the open there, good time for you to be here. I know we had a snafu a couple months ago on tech side, but I'm glad we're able to make it. And I think this is a good time. I know that there's some, we kind of talked about it. There's some weather events back east. You're in New York, right?
Yeah. Right.
So you guys are getting dumped on right now?
We got, I think, almost like 24 inches in the last 3 days.
Oh, so the challenge is just getting out of your driveway, huh?
That's where it starts. That's usually where it starts for most people. It's getting out of the house, getting out of bed in the morning, finding a reason why to get to work, how to get to work.
Yeah.
Things like that.
So you were saying that you guys have a spike in demand out there just because of all the weather events. So a lot of contractors, and depending on the type of business you're at, they're having a good time right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing development and investment since 2018, as you mentioned, and everyone always says wintertime is, well, you can't do any foundational work, no groundbreaking, nothing like that. But during these snow seasons, people that were cold in the sense of leads and things like that are now very warm because, well, it's literally a blue ocean that everyone needs snow plowing. They need shoveling, things of that nature. So
yeah,
the local contractors are very happy.
I see what you mean there. Well, tell us a little bit about your career. How did you end up where you're at right now?
Sure. So I'll give you a brief background for everyone who's listening. Sure. I actually got started in property management in 2016.
Okay.
More on the residential side of things. I did a little traveling in 2017, 18. When I got back, I ended up meeting at that time a man who had close to 50 shopping centers. So he was doing property management, but for commercial.
Mm-hmm.
And with him, I got involved in development, investing, underwriting, just doing the core due diligence of, we focused mostly on warehouses and shopping centers. So even converting warehouses to shopping centers, but mainly focused on how could we increase the IRR of a property in order to make it cash flow more, for lack of better terms. So I did that for close to 5 years. And during that time, he was an older gentleman, like I mentioned. He was probably in his late 70s, early 80s. And what we spent most of our time doing, especially early mornings till late afternoons, was all multifamily I got into after, but shopping centers in specific.
Okay. Gotcha.
So when he was pretty much done work, like I mentioned, he was a bit older, he kind of just went on with his day, and I wanted to do more work. I'm a young guy. I had more energy. Mm-hmm. So what I would do is I would knock on the doors of all the tenants in the shopping centers and pretty much ask them, how do you run your business? What do you guys do to get more business? I'm very curious at nature. And I just showed them that I was interested in helping them. I wasn't charging anything at the time. I actually got paid close to nothing, but I got paid close to everything because I got experience. And that experience to me was worth more than anything. And people already trusted me because they knew me from collecting rent or whatever it was. So I sat down with them, understood their business, understand what the bottlenecks were, what the core constraints were from growing. And then I would be like, if I helped you out with that, would you pay me? And they would be like, yeah, in theory, I would. And then I found a way to work together with them. And I got experience across industries and ended up sticking with contractors due to the fact that I just knew them more, dealt with them more on a day-to-day basis. My dad's a developer, grandpa's an investor. So I have that background from a family perspective. We always were dealing with contractors, and it's something that came easy for me. I had in-depth experience, knowledge, expertise in that realm.
Awesome, man. Yeah, it makes sense that you're sitting in the seat that you are right now. So let's talk a little bit about the landscape of leads, marketing, demand. I can tell you from our experience out in California, we've had a dip since November or so, and that this is not me. This is just, our industry in general. We do exterior stuff, siding, windows, decking. And we can kind of tell and measure things, not only based because I have a network and I'm talking to people all the time, but based on how many calls I get from installers. That's my kind of way of knowing, like, oh crap, people are slow. My phone's blown up the last few months. So I know that people are sitting a little bit more than they used to. What's your take on that? What do you feel the demand is at now, and like where we're headed the rest of the year?
So Jeremy, I know you know this. First off, great question. I appreciate you asking it. Demand always varies. And I always like to say the people who are exceptional at what they do have demand always, because there's low supply for exceptional work. The first thing that comes to mind, again, demand is always up and down. It's part of the cycle of life. The question that immediately comes to mind in my head is like, how do I create demand? And normally that usually comes down to, especially from a marketer, my job as a marketer, and every single person that's watching this, job as a marketer is to motivate someone to do something in some sense of the word. So a lot of times when there's low demand, that means there's very low motivation to do something. And people will find a way or make the way to do something when their why for doing it is very high. And it's our job to give them that reason why. And the first thing that comes to my mind would normally be like a relevant offer specifically for them. Most contractors that we work with will normally have the industry simple offer, which is like, we'll do a free estimate, and no one really wants your free estimate. They want something specific, unique to their pain point that will also reverse the risk for them. So why should I work with you over the 100 other contractors? How are you going to make my life a little bit simpler, easier? And why should I trust you? And if you pretty much make an offer that covers those grounds before they ever meet you, it puts you in a position of pretty much your own category because no one else is willing to do that.
Yeah.
And that is my first thought process. How can I motivate someone who is more or less, human beings are intrinsically lazy? They're sitting on the couch and I need to get them off the couch to call me to say, hey, I really am motivated to do that addition in my house. I am motivated to fix that small problem that's been really gnawing at me for the last few months.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. So a little bit about technology. So, construction technology, we're usually late adopters. Obviously there's a lot coming at us right now. You name it, with AI too, we've got a lot coming at us, and there's a lot of great products, flooding the market right now. So Tell us a little bit about why we're so late to adopt it, but how we can kind of start to use the technology to our advantage.
Again, great question as well. I appreciate you asking this because it does segue into the next portion of what I would say is relevant for contractors. There's something that's naturally out there in the world, which is like shiny object syndrome. So there will always be additional cool tools. There will always be additional attachments for your trucks. Let's use it from a simple, fundamental, foundational principle standpoint is like, you need a truck to get from point A to point B. But you can also get yourself 30 trucks, or you can also get yourself certain attachments for the trucks that make your life easier. The question with technology is, what is the absolute necessary thing for my specific workflow, and what's going to make the life easier for the people on my team, and what's actually necessary for me to look deeper into and see if it is necessary for me. I know you help out with payments. I believe that is probably one of the most valuable things because it goes right down to bottom line. Like if they have payment processors that are going to eliminate 3% fees, do the math. If you're making $1 million a year, $30,000 at the end of the year is free money. So that's something that most people should really tend to want to look deeper into, is the simple low-hanging fruits that will make a big difference.
Right.
In today's technology world, AI is the new trend word, but the question is it relevant or necessary for you? If you're a high-end kitchen company, like we're working with a few at the moment, the question is, do you need an AI receptionist to pick up the phone, or do you want that one-on-one consultation with people every single step of the way? Again, it's really a personal preference.
Right.
There is a lot of shiny object stuff out there, but the first thing that comes for me is like, what's absolutely necessary, required, and even something that sparks your interest for you and your company. And then am I willing to test it out, do like a test run to see if my team can adapt to it? Because the best tools in the world, if they're not used, they're irrelevant. So you have to make sure that you're actually using the tool that you're signing up for and getting your value from it. So it's an investment in the business.
Yeah, I see that a lot. I see the shiny object thing, and then we go buy the software, we buy the thing, and then it's hard to implement because like maybe it doesn't fit in our tech stack. Maybe it's going to create more work. And before you know it, it's sitting on the shelf. So really like buy the extra training, make sure that you can implement it and it works. And if you need some help to kind of get you going or get it added to your tech stack, do that. I see so many people just buy it and then because it looks great, you see the video, you're like, yeah. But you have to really spend the time. And that's our biggest excuse in our industry. I mean, we use it every day, is that we're too busy. And I get it. I feel it too. So how do we would stop that? How do we stop that? I'm too busy.
So to me, here's a very quick self-assessment that anyone listening should look at internally for their business. Is really the business is made up of 5 core components. There's generating leads, which is getting people to call the phone, getting referrals, anything that is in that lead category. From there, we do have to nurture those leads. So they're not just going to buy. There is going to be a percentage of people that literally call you up and say, hey, what color Ferraris do you have? We have red and black. Great, I'll take them. And they're good. There's other people that are going to want to test drive it. They have questions. They want to read the details, the manuals. They want everything in between. Right. So you put up nurture sequences in order to cater to those clients. And then there's obviously closing a deal, which is price, terms, contracts, everything that's necessary and required for that component. So once you're doing those price, terms, contracts, you're effectively making them a promise. The 4th step would be actually fulfilling on your promise. So you promise that you're going to be there on time every day to fix their issue, doing what you said you're going to do. And the last component is making them come back, buy more often, and overall increase your enterprise value. So the question that I would have people ask is, where do I actually need help right now within the business? And then focus all of your time, like ruthlessly attacking that core constraint of the business. So if you're not generating leads, there should be no additional focus. You shouldn't be diving deeper on the client project to make sure that there's more calls coming through the phone. You need to spend your time focused on that core constraint. And a lot of times what we can do, part of the self-assessment, is assess just kind of your calendar. Like, where is most of my time going? And if my time is valued at whatever the number is, $100, $200 an hour, $50 an hour, whatever the number is, am I willing to pay someone $20 for that hour so I can now take my time and spend it on the thing that is going to move the needle forward for the business, going to drive revenue for the business, and going to get me out of the bottleneck of staying in the same place year over year over year. And that's one of the things I tend to look at right off the bat when I work with any company is like, okay, do you have a lead problem? Everyone thinks they have a lead problem. They don't really have a lead problem. you usually have a ton of really high-end clients that you've already worked with, and you're just not nurturing them. You're not asking them, who do you know that is looking for similar help that we helped you out with? You didn't call them up and wish them happy Christmas, or you didn't tell them, hey, we are actually running a special this month. If you, let's say, do door installations, you can say, hey, we're giving 80% discount on one door installation this month. And then you can have, like, in terms and conditions, if you do 3 to 5 doors. I don't know, being creative, being able to reach out, provide value to past clients. I'm just throwing stuff out there so people see, like, there is so much value in the business. My core focus usually is like the list. The client list is usually going to be your most valuable asset within the business, hands down. And you can always nurture that list. You can pull things out of that list that you may just be ignoring, for lack of a better term. And I do this the same way. Like, I should be speaking to clients more often. Anyone who's listening to this, please shoot me a text or I'll send you a message. Like, I should be nurturing the list the same way. It's important.
Yeah, totally. You're right. It's a gold mine in there, our list. I think we're always waiting for that phone to ring. We think that's more valuable, but we already have it. It's already in our hip pocket. So how do we take advantage of that a little bit more? Let's talk a little bit about these 3 mistakes. The first one is a big one. Missed calls equals lost money. Let's talk about the missed calls that we have in our industry.
That to me is such an easy mistake. It doesn't make a difference what you are. If you're a plumber, roofer, electrician, you're working. Like, you're getting paid to do work. So if you're not doing the work, you're not getting paid. On that same side of the coin, it reads that if you don't pick up the phone to get your next job, you're going to be stuck on that same job for months. If you're not moving the needle forward, if you don't have something to look forward to on the calendar, things like that. So yes, you must pick up the phone. If you don't pick up the phone, hire someone that their sole purpose and job is to pick up the phone. And here's an AI tool to get shiny object syndrome on to see if it's actually something that you need. Let's use the example of an AI receptionist that just takes people's information. Great. Thank you for calling John's Plumbing. What's your name? What's your phone number? What's your email? Great. We're helping a client. We'll get back to you as soon as we possibly can. Option number 1. Option number 2, have an automatic text that goes out. If you miss a call, I just got your call. I just saw a missed call from you. I'm currently assisting a client. I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. And the last piece I will say on this, because I am very passionate about it, because I do help out a lot with, like, internal systems with clients, and I see the missed calls, and it's a huge issue that is easily stopped, and it causes you to lose money on a consistent basis that you can avoid, is having someone that is specifically focused on that one thing, having them being able to make sure that when someone calls in, you're returning that call within 5 minutes to 24 hours, because if you don't, the client will go down the Google review list. They'll call their cousin. They'll call their mother. Hey, who'd you use as a plumber? And they're gone. They are gone.
Yeah, so huge. What do you think the percentages of missed calls from contractors, if you had to put a percentage on it, and maybe even revenue?
So it's actually great. We actually have a tool. If you go to like profitsx.com/ROI calculator, it literally will calculate it for you. If you say, hey, we missed 10 calls a month and our average client value is worth, let's say, $1,000, and we close 20% of our calls, so that would be $2,000. It'll show you the numbers for you. Like, if your clients are worth $10,000 and you're missing 10 calls a month and you close 2 of them, that is going to be the money that you're leaving on the table, whether you want to admit it or not. It's money that is literally getting flushed away for no reason.
Yeah, gosh. Yeah, I mean, obviously it would pay for itself. Whether it's assistant or AI, it's a no-brainer.
It's one of the easy ones. It's a quick fix, but it's something that contractors go years of missing phone calls, and then it's like, okay, I'm not getting enough leads. It's like, people are calling you. They got your number at the Sunday barbecue, whatever it was. They're calling you. You just don't pick up the phone sometimes, and you think it's a scammer or spammer, which there are. Like, I speak to contractors that work with lead gen agencies, and they keep getting blasted with the Google Business Profile. Like, they must get like 20 calls a day. Like, your Google Business Profile gets so that, and they're like, and these lead gen agencies are sending them their way. And I'm like, doesn't make a difference. If you gotta block them or whatever, but make sure that when calls come in, you know who's real, who's fake, or have a filter to filter them out. It's mind blowing to me. It's free money. Yeah,
no doubt. All right, let's talk about this second one. No nurture equals no future jobs.
Straight up. You said it better than I would. It's that simple. Like, if you do not nurture your list, to me, I explained this to when I mentioned, when I started working with clients in shopping centers, like, it hit me when I was working with, a good example was like the jewelry guy. Like, he has a ton of high-end clients. And my first thought process was like, how does this business go out of business? It's, you don't sell enough jewelry or gold or diamonds or watches. And what's the fastest way to do that is going to be like no one knows that there's lights on in the house. Most companies, when I see it and I really laugh, and to me, it's a red, green flag that I know I'm needed, is like their advertising slogan is "We're open." If you have to tell the world you're open, like you're doing so many other things wrong. That's like Coca-Cola can say "We're open" in case you didn't know, but they don't even have to do that. They just write Coca-Cola and But literally staying on top of mind for clients and being able to show up on a consistent basis is, in my eyes, what it comes down to, because then people get shiny object syndrome, number one. Number two, they feel embarrassed. Like if you're a doctor's office, or let's say you're a plumber and you went out to do an estimate and the client knows they have to get something done and you see their house, it's a little grimy and they're not so happy to let you in, but they know they need your help, similar to a doctor's office. Like people don't feel comfortable getting undressed in front of a doctor, but it is necessary.
Right.
And you come in, you give an estimate, and then they're like, okay, great. I got to ask my husband. I'm low on cash, whatever the excuse is, really is what it is. And then they're embarrassed. For lack of a better term, they are embarrassed to call you back. So what do? They just call the next guy because they feel like you're going to judge them. They feel like they took too long to make a decision. They lose integrity. There's many reasons that people, they forget, like they literally just forgot about you. Period. End of day. Like there's other reasons, or you've done work with them in the past and you didn't do great. So those are usually going to be like the 2-3 reasons. They got embarrassed, they forgot about you, or you did work with them in the past and they're just like, okay, we're not interested. Yeah. But that's 30%. The other 60% is fully in your control, and emailing them, text messaging them for holidays, social media posting, anything that will get you to show up in front of them that shows that you're still alive. And like, I'm still here to help you out if there's something that's pressing in your home.
Yeah. Let's talk about just a lead. I mean, so typically we get a lead. Let's say we actually pick up the phone this time, and then we, maybe we need to call them back, or maybe it's a message or whatever. A lot of times the follow up, right? So let's just talk about that. Like how often, how quickly, what are your recommendations? Because a lot of times when we don't get the call back, they're gone out of our mind. They're whatever. So I know that's definitely not that you value your lead very much, but what do you say is the best kind of case scenario for us?
So each business is very specific and has their own lead flow process. One of the things, and I'm going to get a little monkey mind with this because I am very passionate about this, but my first thought process is you must capture the lead. Like a lead comes in, great. I have him on my phone. I set an alarm for myself to call him at 6:00, or I put it in his notes of his iPhone, like just to call this guy back. And then you have no way to capture it. So right off the bat, you need a way to have all of your relationships in one platform or one place. That way you are organized, and that when a season gets cold, you have the ability to do a magical word in sales, which is the F word. It's called follow-up. And when the season is cold, you go to a list of all the people who did not convert. Now, there's 2 reasons why people don't convert. They're not a quality lead. They're not a qualified lead. If someone who is a qualified lead did not convert, you can call them back in a cold season and be like, Mrs. Johnson, where are you at with that deck decision that we spoke about 6 months ago? Have you completely given up on the idea of us maybe doing an assessment, or maybe just repainting the one you currently have? Where are you at with that? At least that way you get to start re-nurturing your list when there is cold seasons, number one. Number two, my thought process was that when I go into a business, each business, like I mentioned, is very unique in their own setting. So my first thing, especially when it comes to lead generation, and everyone listening should do this on their own, like you don't need all the fancy stuff, is you take out a sheet of paper and you do something called like mind mapping. To me, MAP is a massive action plan, MAP. And you just say, when a lead comes in, so great, they call me over the phone, to when I go down to their house and we sign on the dotted line, what takes place from A to B? What does the process look like? So lead comes in, they tell me I want an estimate. We go out, we measure, we give an estimate, we send a proposal, whatever it is, like blah, 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 all those processes. And then you decide what is necessary. Do I need to send them an email once a month? Do I need to post on Instagram once a month? Do I need to send out a direct mailer? Do I need to call them up directly, which is usually very easy, low-hanging fruit. Mm-hmm. But at least you get to map out the process for successful transactions, so you have a consistent and repeatable flow for when a lead comes in until it closes. And then magically you get to do what you do best and delegate the rest. So you get to hire someone to now take over that process, since you have already documented it. So they know exactly what to do, how to do it, when to do it, why to do it. And if something comes up that was unexpected, they have even possibly a framework of dealing with that, or then they get to come to you. But at least they have some sort of workflow to help you run the business.
Yeah, and if you don't write it down, it doesn't happen, right?
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
Yeah, so you got to have that tight system of this is exactly what you do. I think for some of us and talking to folks, we're a little bit, and it's a paradigm for sure, but we're a little bit like leery of contacting them too much. I think there's a little bit of that where it's like, okay, I call them, I send them an email. If they're interested, you'd think they would call back or they would email back. But what's your take on that? With the texting especially, I think a lot of people have a little harder time getting into that just because our phones are blowing up. You know what I mean? And you're like, dude, okay. So like, what's your take on that?
So I have to tell you, it's a little hypocritical for me to give a take on it. And I am going to come across a little bit arrogant. It's not my strong suit, but also it doesn't have to be. Like I'm being honest. It's not bragging if it's true. I am in the position where most of the time clients are usually telling me like, hey, I want to work with you. I want to work with you on this thing. I want to work with you on this. And we have a wait list for people to come in. So I don't do much follow-up, but for me, it's just genuine interest in them. Hey, Jennifer, where are you at with this process? Where are you at with this? Like, are you still looking for that? It's very simple. It's usually me saying, hey, I've done so much work already with this person that I want to follow up with them and be exceptionally curious the same way. Like, did you get the help that you needed with this thing? If you did, great. If you didn't, and you want to work with me, let's find a way to make that happen. If you didn't and you don't want to work with me, great. I'll point you in the direction of someone else. Maybe you want someone cheaper or whoever it is. But I will say the people who I've seen be some of the most successful people in sales are a little bit more attack dogs. You got to figure out where you want to be. Like, are you going to be the aggressive salesperson that follows up 10 times a day until they say, stop calling me? Or are you the guy that calls them once and never calls again? For me, my sweet spot is like 2-3 times because I build enough rapport and relationship with people. It's like what you see is what you get. Like you're not any different. And if you want to find a way to work together, we will. If you don't, you don't. The thing is when you're actively pursuing seasons where you're looking to grow and you're looking to take on a lot of clients, you need to do what it takes, not necessarily the 3 steps to success, not here's the 3 magic follow-up sequences that if you follow, ding, 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 it's a magic wand. Then all of a sudden you get all the clients. Right. It's, to me, the only real, and I tell this to my team the same way, the only real way to do any sort of follow-up is just caring about the person. It's like you detailed and disciplined follow-up. So you have specific details, John. I remember last time we spoke, you were in surgery. I know it was maybe a little bit difficult for you to even get out of bed. I wanted to check on that. I also wanted to tell you the reason for calling is because I wanted to see where we're at with this. But first and foremost, I must prioritize the person before anything else without saying it, but actually caring. And people smell that. People smell if this person actually cares about them, or it's like,
if it's gross. Yeah. No, that makes sense. I think there's a lot of bidders out there that I've noticed, especially in our industry, where it's like they're just out there giving bids, right? And there's not a lot of needs analysis going on. There's not a lot of talking to them as a person. It's really very just transactional. And like typically those people are low cost. And I'd like to talk about the margins right now because I get so pissed off about this one, and I'm sure you do too. I don't know why people in our industry want to sell at 20% margin in the remodeling, but it is
don't even get me started.
Rampant right now.
Do get me started. Before I go into it, I do want to point out, to me at least, this is what is very valuable, is the person who educates the client, especially, again, there's 2 types of client. There's the guy that says, I'll take the Ferrari, any color, like I want it today, I'm good to go. That is a very small segment of the market, and that is what majority of people are going after. They are going after the people who are ready to buy right now, and if you're not ready to buy, you're dead to me. Like I'm never talking to you again, so on and so forth. The people who do care, and it hurts because you have to spend emotional energy, you have to actually care, and you have to be consistent in caring, and you have to do it over a long period of time. When you're the one that's giving the client information, when you're the one educating about each step of the process, when you're the one that's going through the stages of what it's going to look like, when it's going to be messy, the messy middle that very few people don't want to talk about. The client has these underlying concerns, fears of what's going to happen. When you bring it to front and you say, hey, listen, this is what's going to happen. It's probably going to be a little messy. You're probably going to get scared. I want to let you know it's not my first rodeo. I've done it before. Here's where it's going to get dirty. There will be times that your effort goes to waste. There will be times that you spend months following up and giving quotes and talking about all the details, and then you do it once or twice and you're like, I'm never doing that again. What a waste of time. To me, there's a way to go around that as well. There's finding a way if the deal is dead before it even starts. There's a saying I love, which says, it's not a sin to not get the deal. It's a sin to not get the deal and it take a long time. So you got to really find out, like, what's the time frame for this? If we were to work together, what's the time frame that would we be looking at this? Is this happening in 4 years from now? Is this happening in 2 months? Like, you got to ask some of these questions that'll get people to tell you what you know you need to hear. The other thing I can think of is really just the educational component. There's so many people who just don't know what they don't know, which is not rocket science. Everyone doesn't know a lot of things. In my opinion, I know nothing. Like, I know very little about maybe a something, and I try to stick within my little circle of the things that I know. But when you think of a homeowner that wants to spend, they don't want to spend, but they know they need to spend, and they do like to buy things that will make their house look nicer. But when it comes to bigger purchases, they're more fearful. What if it goes wrong? What if this doesn't work out? Anxiety kicks in. Like, all the things that could go wrong pop up to mind. So when I'm going into that, like, frame of mind, my goal is to obviously, like, bring their concern down, bring their level of certainty up. You do that by showcasing proof, credibility, building trust with them, having some sort of way to show them this. Again, you can tell them this isn't your first rodeo. More effective than that is you show them this isn't your first rodeo. More effective than that is you having 100 people showing them that this isn't your first rodeo. And those are the things that usually will put people's nerves at ease. Yes. It's like the likelihood of me succeeding here is going to be exponentially higher if I go with you versus Chuck with the truck. So I'm most likely going to go with you.
Tell us a little bit about the objection thing. So obviously you're in that period, right? You've given the proposal, they're doing their due diligence, they're getting their bid, all this crap. There's that waiting time, like you said. This is when the follow-up should kick in. But then how do we get to what's their objection? And usually there's something big in there, and sometimes we have a hard time fishing it out. So give me your take on that.
So the first objection, just right off the bat, if that's what you're asking from, like, an objection handling perspective, usually contractors will tell me, like, because I always tell people, raise your price. My first grow a business, if you had to sell one thing for $1 versus your competitor selling the same thing for $2, their profit margin is that much higher. I'm going into this segue for a reason. But to me, it's raise the price. And the first objection I get from me giving them the ability to raise the price, they're objecting to me already. People already don't have money. Like, they already don't want to spend on my current prices. What makes you think they're going to want to spend on my higher prices? So to answer that, like, from a simple math equation, if you have 10 people buying something for $1 versus 5 people buying something for $2, your fulfillment is a lot smaller. You don't have to go do 10 projects. You only have to do 5, less headaches, less things going wrong, less out-of-pocket expenses, things like that. But more important, to answer your question with the objection, people usually object to price, in my experience, is one of two things. One, they don't trust you, which is a great reason to object for price. Like, yeah, I don't have the money right now. It's like, no, yeah, I don't trust you. Number one. Number two is I don't see the value, which goes back to my education thought process, is like, I don't think that what you're charging me is a fair price. So I'm just going to say I don't have the money. Instead of saying, I don't understand what you will be putting into this project, or what I will get is a better thing, I should say. What am I going to get for this money? And will it be worth it? And will it actually happen? And are you going to be the guy to deliver it for me? That's like the buyer's psychology that's going on inside their mind to really decide if I want to work with this person or not. And the easiest front is like, I don't have the money. So I can easily overcome that by saying, like, okay, great. If it was free, would you want to do it? And they say, yeah, I would. And it's like, okay, great. Now, it's obviously not free, but my question is, if we came up with some sort of plan of action, you would be able to, it would be within your budget. Is that something that you're looking to do? Like, is it really a budget thing? And you find out, you got to get to the root cause of the ejection. Because between you and I, if going back to my Ferrari example, if someone offers you a Ferrari for $1,000 and you're dead broke, you have $1,000. You don't know where it is. It'll be under the couch. It'll be in your mom's house. You'll find $1,000. But when you see the value, the price objection really disappears. So it's our goal as business owners to show people the value. Don't just tell them. You show them this is what you're going to get. Here's what's in it for you. And they usually will not have price objections at that point. Just again.
Yeah. How do you coach on the raising prices? Because that's, I mean, obviously a lot of times it's a paradigm thing. A lot of times it's like, oh, times are slow. So the first thing I do is lower my prices. Like, there's all these things that I know that my competition does. It drives me freaking crazy. But like, they're not, obviously they don't feel like they have the value. that's the main thing. But like, how do you coach somebody to raise their prices? And this is what it looks like.
So I will tell you, the first time I dealt with this exact question, which was actually a family-owned business I was working with in the city back in 2020, and the dad would not raise prices. He's been in business for 30 years, and the kids, whatever, some of them are not on board. Like some of them want to raise prices, some of them won't. So my first thought process, okay, go to the dad. He's the one that's making decisions. Why are we not raising prices? He goes, well, two people came in and told me, he didn't say two people came in. He said, my friends came in and told me the prices are high. So I said, what great friends you have. If you had to tell me, how many clients do you have? And he told me, he's like, we probably have like, I think it was like 1,500 or 2,500 or whatever the number was. And I said, okay, great. How many people told you the price is too high? He goes, well, I had a friend that came in like 2 months ago and told me. So you had one friend that came in. He goes, no, actually I had two. So I said, okay, you had, let's say 2,000 clients and you're telling me two people told you the prices are too high? He goes, yeah. I said, anyone else ever tell you a thing about price? He goes, no. I said, have you ever raised price? He goes, yeah. He said, any objections, any slowdowns in sales? No. I said, so you're not going to raise your price because two friends said so. He goes, yeah, I guess that does sound a little bit not great.
Yeah.
So I said, okay. My real coaching, I wouldn't call it coaching because to me, I really coach via logic. Like if I were in your shoes and I wanted to grow the business the way I would grow the business, here's what I would do. And I kind of just say my own perspective. Everyone has their own perspective. So it's just my opinion. I did tell the rest of the brothers to gather around. I'm like, and in front of the dad, so he really gets the lesson and the peer pressure and everything as well. And I was a little bit arrogant and egotistical as a young man as I am. But my first question to him was, if you don't raise prices, you're probably going to be in the boat of the people that like to shrink prices. I like to give discounts. He goes, yeah, I like to do it sometimes. I said, if you start in a race where the race objective is to continuously drop the price, that is a race to the bottom. And that is a race that you do not want to win.
Right.
And on the other side, if you're racing to be the highest price, you have to ask yourself, what do I have to give in exchange of value to make that price not necessarily justifiable, but like where people are chasing me because they want to pay it because they see how much value they're getting. And to me, I think that was a little aha moment for everyone in the room where they're like, there's two races, either you're the cheapest or you're the most expensive, either you're Walmart or you're Louis Vuitton. And if you think about the differences between these two brands, is Walmart's entire value proposition is we will give you as much as we possibly can for as cheap as we possibly can, but that is their entire value proposition. We are the cheapest possible people, and they attract people that shop at Walmart. I'm not putting them down. They're attracting what you put out into the world is what you get. Yeah. If you look at Louis Vuitton, and let's compare it to Walmart, because I think it's a good fair comparison. Louis Vuitton, when they sell a shirt, a typical t-shirt, they're selling something like this for $400 or $500. And if you look at Walmart, they're going to sell 4 or 5 for $4 to $5 or $20, whatever the price is. So I would try to think and say, is Louis Vuitton 100x better than Walmart? And it's not. It's maybe 2, 3, 4, 5x better. So by charging $25, $35 for it, like $450, why? And the answer is because I position myself as a brand to say, hey, when people wear this, they get elevated status. When people associate with people who wear Louis Vuitton, they feel better about themselves. When people are around other Louis Vuitton users, it's a statement. It's a status symbol to some extent, but intrinsically there is no real value. The question is not that we should copy Louis Vuitton, just throw our prices up there and have no value. The question is, what could we learn from them? Like, how could we be? That is the question I love to ask, as especially someone who's in the world of like sales, marketing, operations, system process development. I like to ask, how can I be the most expensive person and still have people banging down my door because of the amount of value that's provided in there? And the way that I found that work for myself is I give them 10 times more than what they actually pay for, just at a higher price. And the difference between expensive and price is when you pay for something like Louis Vuitton, that's expensive because you're not really getting what you're paying for. So the term expensive comes out, but price is, it costs a lot. So the price is higher and I'm going to give you more value for that price. Yeah. So when people say things are expensive, it's because they didn't get what they pay for. So you go out for dinner, you get like a little piece of steak and you pay $150. You're like, that's expensive. But if you go out for dinner and you pay $150 and you get a bigger piece of steak, all of a sudden it's like, that was great. It's like, because for the price I paid, the value I got was worth it. And you have to ask yourself as a business owner, what do I have to give people to make them say that was worth it? The experience was exceptional. The customer support was exceptional. Fast communication. I didn't have to repeat myself throughout the project. These people had their notes meticulously stored. They knew every step of the process. This wasn't their first rodeo based off what I've seen. Like, I've experienced an outstanding process. And I always think of like Disney World. Like, you go to Disney World, there has a nice long line and people are greeting you. And at the end of every line, there's obviously a upsell for food or whatever it is. Like, they're meticulously thought out. There's systems and processes in place to make sure that their operations run smooth by default.
Yes, no, definitely. That's a great way of putting all of that. So how would you advise, let's say you got the guy at 20% and he's coming to you to fix everything. You know, are you kind of telling him to incrementally go? Or are you telling him to like immediately get to a certain percent? Like how do you kind of coach people on that?
So to me, if people are scared to raise the price, because it is more of a thought process as well, but also it is like based off the value you get. Also as a business owner, you know where the bodies are buried, where you're like, you know where things could be better. Like, my follow-up isn't great. My customer support isn't great. Clients call me up because they need a project and I'm not getting back to them at the same time, at the same day, whatever it is. Like, whatever that thing is for you, you know what that is, which usually causes you to think, oh, I'm expensive. You need to find out, how can I provide more value even at the same price? So people you see reactions and you see the responses you get from the marketplace. But right off the bat, if you do have a long list of people, or if you have consistent lead flow, in some extent, I would increase price by 20% and then continuously go from there until you hit higher numbers. But being the cheapest guy in the market, unless you're Walmart, you usually, again, it's a race to the bottom. It's, okay, we both charge $100 for this pen. And then you say, okay, I'll do it for 80. I say, I'll do it for 60, 40, 20, 10. And then it gets to a point where you're just paying the client, which is ultimately what people have happen. They pay their clients to work with them in a lot of cases. And that, you may be laughing or you're going, no, that's not true. Not me. It's like, yes, you, when you spend more time at the project, when you spend more on the client than the client spends on you, you effectively lost money to that client, whichever way you want to word it. That's what it is.
Right.
So you need to find a way to enhance the experience, be client-centric, provide more value than anyone else does. And that is where the work begins. Having an exceptional product is where the work begins for most businesses. And there was someone I heard say this a very long time ago. It always stuck with me, is that most people, when they start a business, they spend 1, 2, 3 weeks, maybe months developing the product, and then the rest of their life having to market it. On the other side, it reads that the people that spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 years honing in on their product, on their specialized knowledge, on their skill sets, they spend no time marketing themselves because they are so good at what they do. Their product markets itself, and the marketing job is also done by itself. So it really sells itself as well. And that's the point where people go, oh, I'm just going to create something and then it will sell. It sounds good in retrospect, but no one sees the amount of work that goes into creating something that is by definition exceptional and no one else could do, will do. It's an only practice. Like, no one else is willing to do the work that I'm willing to do to hone in on my process, to hone in on my skill set, to hone in on my expertise, to train my guys a little bit longer, to take that phone call late at night, to understand why the client is upset. Why are they unhappy? What made them get this way? Is there a consistent pattern among clients that are all dealing with the same issues? When you identify these things in the business and then you literally just work a way around it, meaning you build a system that eliminates that issue, you get to be able to fulfill your product in a more consistent timeline, a more repeatable timeline. And from there, you have a repeatable product that you now can take to market. And I'm saying it in the sense as a product. The same applies to service-based business. It's called a productized service. When you can tell clients, here's the deliverables, here's the time frame, it's going to be on time every time. If you have any issues, you call me directly. Here's my cell phone number. There's a level of certainty that someone feels. It's like, you're telling me if I have an issue, I get to call you directly. You're like, yes, I care more like about my reputation than your product. But don't get me wrong. Like, I care about your product, but I care about me. Like, I want to make sure that you're so happy that I know we're good.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. So is there, for the home service industry, is there a number you like to be at, 40, 50% margin? Where do you want them to be, or where do you think they should be, I guess is the...
So it's difficult.
Right. I know it's kind of industry specific. I mean, I'm talking definitely the home service. I'm not talking about builders or commercial.
Right. Builders are doing like cost plus and things like that.
Right.
Again, it also depends. Like, I'm thinking of, let's say, a guy that does moldings or paints. Like, is there that much differentiation between him and the cheapest guy? And the answer is yes. Like, if you spent 20 years painting and there's a guy on the side of the street that's willing to do for $20 an hour, the way I look at it is, how can I quantifiably explain the outcome that the person's going to get, understand what it's worth to them, and then work backwards from there. And the way I would answer price, because I am kind of, as you can tell, I'm not giving a direct answer, is I would probably want to do market research based off the location I'm in. So I would go ahead and ask the clients that I work with and be like, or even I don't work with, like I can ask strangers on the street. I may have to talk to 20 people that'll never talk to me again, but I will get invaluable data and say, okay, if I were to come paint your entire house, like what's a price that if I told you that price, you would be like, great, done. Meaning you're too cheap. Like not too cheap, but I'm willing to take advantage of you. So I forget who it is, but there's an economist, I believe in Germany, who came up with this like 4 questions to ask for pricing. That's the one I'm alluding to. You can look it up online, but pretty much he's finding out like what's considered too high, what's considered too low, what's medium, but they're still willing to pay, and what's medium, but they're not willing to pay. And you kind of find your ground from there. And then from there, you should look to increase price based off of, again, how fast you can do the project, how much headaches you remove from the client, how much risk you remove from it. Like you can tell people, if I don't hallway or room before the end of the week, it's free, or I'll knock off 20% off the price. And I got a great answer for you. You ready? Here's the best thing I can tell you. Increase price by 20%. And I know you're scared to increase price for 20%. So increase your price by 20% and then add a guarantee. So if you say, let's use the painting example. I literally just thought of this, and I think it would be a good use case for anyone who's listening to this.
Yeah.
Increase your price by 20%, and then you add a guarantee. So if they think that the price is too high, you say, listen, I'm going to get this done before the end of the week, end of the month, end of the quarter, whatever makes sense to your industry. And if I won't, I will take 20% off of the price.
Yeah.
So if I get to do it faster, or if I get to do what I told you I'm going to do, and you get what we agreed on, I want to get paid this price. And here's all the additional things that I'm going to do that most people won't do, meaning I'll get it done faster. I'll make sure that you don't have to come check the project 6 times. Like I'm going to be the foreman on this project. Most homeowners are like, yeah, I'll do the foreman work. It's like, no. You are obviously not going to do the foreman work. I'm going to do the foreman work, and we're going to get it done in this time frame. And this is what I'm going to charge you. And if I can't, then I will give you 20% back to the project, which usually is also more of an incentive for someone to want to work with you. It's like, you're telling me you're going to pay me if you don't do your job well. No one's willing to do that. That's so much better than free estimate. Like that itself.
Yeah. Kind of going back to that father-son kind of scenario that you kind of talked about. I heard it said too that like keep raising your prices until you see your margin or your closing ratio change. So exactly. Like a lot of times people will like go like, oh, I'll just go a little bit. And they're like, oh man, our closing ratio is the same, and then they get a little bit too far, then takes a big dip. And you're like, okay, I think I found my threshold of where I'm comfortable. But like, I mean, that's another potential way of going about it. But I think you're right. You got to do your research, ask questions, find out where people are at, and that'll help you out.
And I will just add one other benefit to raising prices. Back to the Louis Vuitton example, like there is a certain level of prestige. There's 2 types of people in the world. There's the type of person that says, I worked with the cheapest possible doctor. Like you won't believe how little I paid him. And they get energy off of like literally looking for the cheapest things. And they may not be your ideal client, but there is a different level of person who goes, you won't believe how much I paid this guy. Like it was an arm and a leg, but it was worth it. And they just get so much excitement, and they like spending money. There are people out there who just like spending money. And when you have higher price things, think about a guy that comes to Christmas dinner with a bottle of wine. There's some guys that are going to be like, I paid $7 for this bottle. And then there's some guys that'll be like, I paid $700 for this bottle. Right. Same exact thing, more or less, but different person that you're serving. So I will tell you, there is a giant branding, positioning play to being the most expensive. I don't see that really for the cheapest, because again, you're back to, I'll do it for less. And you're just like the hot topic of the month. Like, oh, I found a roofer that is willing to do it for free. Could you find a roofer that's willing to do it for free? It's like, do I want a roofer that's willing to do it for free? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, you're totally right. Yeah, I want to get to the third killer here. And we talked a little bit about it already, but no systems equals no growth. And you talk about the 3 Ds. So let's get into those Ds. Make sure people get this one too.
So simplest point is most people tend to either hire too soon or hire too late. Hiring great people is, to me, one of the most important things in a business. Hiring top tier talent. I believe it's not spoken enough about, especially in the construction world, because, well, I mean, I just need talent. And if the guy could do the job, I can get it done. It is a little bit different for me than contractors because I'm more in software and I need to make sure that developers are top tier. But you will still get and I think this is Steve Jobs' quote. I believe he mentioned that if you go to Manhattan and you hire a taxi driver that's okay, whatever, you pay $20, $30, $40, you go around town, it's great. Then you hire yourself a chauffeur that costs you 3-4 times more, or even whatever it is, but you hire the next level up and you get 3 to 5 times the experience. The guy's pointing everything out to you. Like, you're getting a 3 to 5x multiple, even though you're paying probably only 1.5 times the basic, or maybe 2 or 3, but you're getting higher output per unit of dollar put in.
Yeah.
And when it comes to skill set, especially as you work in different industries, like I know for myself, when I hire a basic developer, I'll get X amount of output. But when I hire an exceptional developer, I don't get 2, 3, 5, 7, 10 times the output. I can get 100x the output.
Yeah.
Just based off the skills and the experience. So same thing applies. Like the guys that I know that have exceptionally successful contracting businesses, they usually have someone on the team that's been doing it for 20 years. And like they pay them 1.5 times, 2 times the industry average, but they get 5, 7, 10 times the industry average. And really that's what it comes down to in business. Is you're always looking for opportunities to buy low, sell high type of scenarios, that arbitrage opportunity. You can do it in all areas. It doesn't have to be just with product and lumber and things like that. You get to do it with talent. Back to my original thought process, because I get a little excited when I get into
good. I love it.
When it comes to creating systems and processes, there's another thing that I like that said having a bad system actually hurts great people. So if you don't have the right systems in place, people that come in that are great don't want to stay, because they kind of look at your operation as like high school. Like this kind of feels like you guys are just starting off. I'm better than this. I want to be at the next level. Like I don't see you guys making that progress. So with the 3Ds, what we like to look at is first that you demonstrate that you can do it. Then you document what you've done, and then you can duplicate it. So you show people, like, let's say you paint the house. I'm using the painting example, super easy for everyone to understand. You paint the house. So first you go out and you paint the house. Second is you write down the process. So I buy these buckets, I buy this roller. Here's why I do it. Here's why I do this. Here's why we start top down, so on and so forth. We cover the outlets. We put around the moldings. You outline that process. And then when you bring someone else on, you have them do it and you watch. So there's I believe it was John Maxwell who talks about like the 6 levels of leadership. It's like first you do it, then you do it and they watch, then they do it and you watch, then they do it, then they bring someone else on and that person watches them, and then that person does it on their own, and it becomes a cyclical by nature.
Right.
And I just shrunk it down to pretty much say, you do the work, document the work that you did, and then duplicate it in the sense of bringing on someone who's ideally better than you at doing the work. And you should be able to also charge more. If there's a guy, if you're painting a house and you're spending 2 hours doing it because you have to go do invoices and estimates and other things in between, versus you have one guy whose sole focus is to be the Picasso or the Michelangelo of the paint world, then you by nature should also be able to charge more for that. You're going to have a full-time guy in the house, not leaving and coming back 6 months to get supplies. Like that also is valuable.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it makes total sense. I think there's a lot of us. I think you kind of talk about that, that $5 to $10 million area. I know that 5 is like a stopping point for a lot of us, right? Where we get stuck mainly because of our systems and mainly because we haven't hired the right people. We have too much on our plates as owners. We're doing too much of the work. How do you teach people to get out of their own way? Because I think it's a big problem.
So I would say it's simple. It's just not easy. Nothing in life is easy. Everything is simple, easier said than done. Sometimes easier done than said. Usually to get up to 5 million, it usually comes down to just making a lot of sales and marketing type of effort. Yes, you have to have a great product that is good, but contracting businesses tend to have a very high-end product. So you're getting into those numbers a lot quicker than a typical business. But when you're at that mark 3-5, you got to be making sure that you have the ability to duplicate yourself. If you do become the bottleneck of the business and you're doing 7 to 12 different things and you're working crazy hours. And the reason for that is just because no one can do it as good as you. And if you want something done right, you do it yourself. And all those thought processes and mentalities is really, when you take a step back and you look at it, it's like, first off, if I hired a salesperson that has 20 years experience, he may be able to do it better than me. But even if he's not, if I hire 10 salespeople, they definitely will be able to sell better than me, number one. Number two is, back to the documenting component. Usually there isn't a system and process in place that has things happen at a very consistent standpoint. That to me is like the best word I can look for. There's very little consistency, meaning things are still sporadic, things are still moving. We're working with a kitchen company, as I mentioned. they're taking in large chunks of change prior to doing the project. So they're getting down payments, but then people aren't ready to do their kitchen because it's summer houses or whatever it is. So they're sitting on cash. They're not organized. They're working off like a Google spreadsheet, and they're doing big numbers. And why? Because this is how we always done it. And like, okay, is that the best thing that you think continuously being done in the business? But you need reliability, repeatability, and more important, consistency within that stage to make sure that you can bring on other people to take a step back out of certain areas that they can take their full focus and attention onto. And that usually comes down to having a consistent, repeatable process. Back to like the mapping structure is saying like, this is how we do it. And not just this is how we do it because we always done it this way, but like, this is how we do it. This is why we do it. And then hire people who are going to disagree with you. Like, I see you're putting your documenting on the spreadsheet, but like, why? And it's like, well, that's why we did it. Okay, but if I gave you some feedback, would you be open to it? Some people are not open to it. It's like, no, my dad gave me the keys. This is how it is.
Yeah.
He said, this is how we do it. And I'm like, you got to be open. You got to be open to learn. And I'm saying this, I'm a young guy. I'm always open to learn. I believe I will hold this mentality for a very long period of time until I figure out why it's wrong. But I will take advice from anybody. I'll take information from anyone. I may not take advice, meaning I'll go do what they said, but I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to listen and understand and see big picture, like the battleground, and then make my decisions accordingly. And if you're not open to new information from people that may have been doing something for longer than you in a specific niche of your own business, that itself will be a bottleneck. So that's what I can say when it comes to systems and specific.
I totally agree with that. I mean, there's so many that the ego just gets in the way, right? It's not just because we always do it that way, but because it was maybe your idea or whatever. It's tough. It's a tough way to do business if you're that stuck in the mud sometimes. So
you get attached. It's my idea. Like if it's mine, it has to be good. And sometimes there's too many ideas. Again, there's a lot of good ideas, but do we want to do them all?
No doubt. Well, I appreciate you being here. Tell us a little bit about Profits X. What does it look like to work with you guys? How's that work if someone wants to learn a little bit more about you guys?
So I have a quote that I love, which is, I don't speak what I don't know, and I don't lead people to go places I haven't been. Profits X has been invented and continuously iterated on due to things that I personally needed and the people around me needed, which is how it came to existence. I lead by example. So back to the educational component, like go to profitsx.com, get all the free resources, check out calculators, check out guides, check out blueprints. We're constantly adding in more. We're going to be adding in custom components so people could get custom feedback to their own situation. They can speak to an AI regarding their personal business problems to find solutions specifically to that. Everything is there on the site itself. If they were serious about working with us, we have an application process. It's profitsx.com/apply now. And from there, it'll ask questions about the business, see where they're at, see what the real bottlenecks are according to them, and to see if there's a way that we can work together. But to me, I like to make sure, back to this entire conversation, I like to make sure we're working with the right people. And it also makes my sales process a lot easier, because if I am speaking to someone who I'm not able to help or they're not the right fit, I'm the first person to tell them. And at the same time, if I'm speaking to someone who I am able to help, I will make sure that they know that. Not from an aggressive, assertive, I'm going to chase you down until you buy, like whatever it is.
Right.
Because I know I can help you. Like, you have an issue that I know I can fix. And the same way you go into someone's house and you see something broken that is your expertise and you can fix, it's your job as a man to be able to say, hey, I can help you with that. Stop the leak in the roof from coming in. Like, right. It's up to you to be able to show them that, hey, this is what I can do for you. So on that same note, that's something that I get very passionate about the same way. When I see something that I know is like, this is a mess, there's a lot of work to do here. And I like those stuff. I don't like the things that are easy ground balls. I like the bigger projects. I like the things that have more undoable knots that people have a lot of difficulty solving and they've had for a long period of time. And usually it's just someone coming in and looking at it from a different perspective and saying like, oh, you could just move this couple inches there. And it's like, okay, interesting. Yeah. Like,
yeah, exactly.
The pricing example, like, oh, you can increase price by a little bit. And it's like, won't everyone leave? It's like, we don't know until we try, but let's do a research and try. Like, that to me is what excites me. So,
well, I appreciate you being here, Daniel. It's been your wealth of information. I'm sure you're going to do great things with that business, and we'll have our folks come visit you and take a look at that website. But thanks again for being here, and we'll stay in touch.
Jeremy, it's an absolute pleasure again, and I appreciate you having me on, and thank you again.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Thanks again for being here. Another episode of In the Zone, Construction Executives Live. I'm your host, Jeremy Owens. We will see you next month. Bye.
You've been listening to In the Zone and Construction Executives Live with Jeremy Owens. Be sure to subscribe to In the Zone and stay in the know with the best minds in the construction industry. To nominate an innovator or change maker in the construction industry, connect with your management peers and stay up to date with construction industry news. Be sure to visit usconstructionzone.com.